Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. Welcome back today to another live stream. It is going to be another episode of the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show. This is the show where we sit down and we talk about all of the latest Everton transfer rumours and news, and we basically just try and dissect them into which rumours are, feasible and you could see happening, and which rumours are just complete and utter rubbish, and basically it either made up or we don't want to player to join Everton Football Club. We've got a lot of transfer rumours to get through today. There's been a lot of players linked with moves to Everton over the last sort of few days or so. A lot of big name players as well. I know I've got a lot of people excited, but I'm going to give my opinion as to why I think the majority of the players Everton have been linked with over the last 2 or 3 days or so wouldn't be good moves for the football club, basically. And although they're good players, they're not the players that Everton need. So we're going to be talking about Philippe Coutinho. We're going to be talking about Sergio Aguero, Gareth Bale, Ivan Toney as well. We've also been linked with a couple of other names. We're going to go through the majority of them in today's video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment if you're watching live, and we will be getting involved with as many of them as we possibly can. Leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying as well, and we'll get straight into it. The first name that Everton have been that's been thrown about over the last couple of days or so, and I think the name that everybody is sort of maybe getting a little bit excited about, and certainly the one that is being thrown about the most out of all of them that we're going to talk about is Philippe Coutinho, Barcelona midfielder, of course, ex-Liverpool star, Brazilian midfielder, very creative player, very good technical player. This is according to TZ, and it was cited by Marca, or Marca, MARCA, who are a Spanish publication, I believe, and they have said that Everton are planning to prepare a bid of £35 million for Barcelona attacker Philippe Coutinho, and they're looking to try and sort of persuade Barcelona to sell the Brazilian playmaker due to financial issues. Now, again, this is one that has been thrown about a few times over social media, and I think a lot of people are starting to get a little bit excited about the possibility of Philippe Coutinho joining Everton Football Club. And look, there's no doubting that Philippe Coutinho is a very, very good footballer, technically a very good footballer. I mean, the Philippe Coutinho that was playing for Liverpool 6-7 years ago in the Premier League was absolutely exceptional. One of the best players in world football, and arguably the best player in the Premier League at that time. He went to Barcelona. He's had an up and down time at Barcelona. He's been hit with injuries. He's been hit with, problems with, with the team and not getting in the side, etc. And then he went on loan to Bayern Munich, of course, last season. Had quite a successful loan, to be fair, at Bayern Munich. Obviously got into a Champions League final, won the Champions League with Bayern Munich, had a part to play in that final, in that semi-final as well against his parent club, Barcelona, which was quite strange to see because, to be honest, I wasn't quite sure that, I didn't know that he could play in that semi-final, but he did play. I think he scored, got an assist as well coming off the bench, and ended up going on to win the Champions League. So I understand the excitement surrounding Philippe Coutinho and the possibility that Everton could sign Philippe Coutinho this summer, but Philippe Coutinho for me sits in the same bracket as Gareth Bale and Sergio Aguero, and we'll talk about those rumours in a second. We'll put them all together actually, because I've got the same sort of opinion on all three players. So Philippe Coutinho is the rumour is cited by Marca, and it's originally from TZ, and it states that Everton are planning to bid £35 million for Philippe Coutinho. The rumour regarding Sergio Aguero was coming from the Daily Star, which we already should be taking with an absolute buckets of salt, and that is that Everton have entered the race to sign Manchester City striker Sergio Aguero at the end of the season. It is said that Everton cannot match his wage. However, they have told Aguero's representatives that they will cover any shortfall in wages with a significant signing on fee. And then the Gareth Bale rumour is that, according to El Chiringuito TV, sorry if I've absolutely butchered that, Carlo Ancelotti wants to sign Gareth Bale at Everton this summer. Now let's talk about all three of those players in the sort of in the same vein, because I have, like I said, a very similar opinion on all of these transfer rumours. Firstly, I don't believe any of them, to be honest with you. I really, really don't believe any of them. If we're talking about the rumour in itself, I don't think Everton would go out and spend £35 million on a 28-year-old Philippe Coutinho who's had constant injury issue after injury issue after injury issue over the last few years or so. we're not talking about the 22, 23-year-old Philippe Coutinho that was playing for Liverpool, that was tearing up with his entire sort of career ahead of him, with his future ahead of him, and you know, showing he was one of the best footballers in the world at that time. We're talking about a 28-year-old Philippe Coutinho who has had constant injury problem after injury problem after injury problem, and ultimately is you know, coming towards that, I wouldn't say the end of his career, because he's still not, you know, within his 30s, but he's coming sort of towards the downside of his career, isn't he? It's on a downward spiral, really. He's not likely to get any better, Philippe Coutinho. Sergio Aguero, rumour obviously coming from the Daily Star. Again, I don't believe that whatsoever. I don't understand why Everton would go out and, you know, pay Sergio Aguero £150,000-160,000 a week to practically sit on our bench for 90% of the season. Obviously, he's had a plethora of injury worries this season. And then, of course, Gareth Bale, who currently on loan at Tottenham, scored a hat-trick the other day, ironically, but actually hasn't had that great of a season on loan at Tottenham as well. And like I said, I get the excitement surrounding these three players specifically, and we will talk about Ivan Toney a little bit later on in the live stream, because I think Ivan Toney is a name who, you know, a lot of, I'm just going to shrink myself a little bit here because I've realised I'm a little bit too big on the screen, so bear with me, let me just shrink myself. There you go. I understand that Ivan Toney is a name that, you know, a lot of people are getting excited about, and we'll talk about him, like I said, in a little bit of a separate situation a little bit later on in the stream. Just trying to fix the green screen because it's getting a bit pixelated there, so let me just try and fix that for you. This is what happens when you go live and your face starts to pixelate because you've got a green screen. Hang on, if I do that then. Bear with me 2 seconds, let me just fix this. We'll get straight back into the transfer rumours in a second. I'm just trying to figure out how to let's try that. No, not 190. 490, that should be alright. Oh, bear with me 2 seconds. Just trying to get rid of this pixelation so nobody's eyes are going a little bit funny. Bear with me a second. We'll go to 500. That should be suffice. There you go. We'll stick with that. We'll go with that. Anyway, like I said, I understand the hype around these three players. I get it. I get the hype around Philippe Coutinho. I get the hype around Sergio Aguero. I get the hype around Gareth Bale. These are technically all very, very, very good footballers, and in their day were, you know, three of the best footballers on the planet. I get that. The reality of the situation is they aren't those players at the moment. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I don't want the pixelation to affect, so I'm just going to lash the green screen off, and we can sit with it with a green background for today's live stream. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. I get, like I said, I get the hype around them. I get that they're three of you know, big, massive names, three big stars, and like I said, in their day were three of, you know, the world's best footballers. But the reality of the situation is at the moment with Everton is that these players aren't the players that they were 5, 6, 7 years ago. They're not those players now, and ultimately Everton in the summer transfer window really need to get their strategy correct for me, and Everton's strategy should be going out and signing young, athletic, physical players who can get about the pitch, can play an entire season without having any real injury issues. Ultimately are going to come in with a hunger, with a fire in their heart, with a point to prove. Not players that are coming in who have been at the Champions League or played in the Champions League and are sort of taking a step down to come and play for Everton Football Club, because those are the types of players with no hunger, with no point to prove, with no real reason to want to come and join Everton Football Club other than just to come in and get 120, 140 grand a week and spend the majority of the season on the on the physio table receiving treatment. Like I said, they're massive names. Philippe Coutinho is a massive name, and I'm not doubting Philippe Coutinho's quality as a footballer. I'm not. He's a very, very good technical footballer, but he's not what we need at this current moment. I'm not doubting Gareth Bale as a technical footballer. His hat-trick the other day was brilliant for Spurs. It was a great hat-trick. but he's not what Everton need this summer. I'm not doubting Sergio Aguero. He's one of the best strikers to ever play in the Premier League, but he is not that Sergio Aguero that was banging in 20, 30, 40 goals a season for Manchester City 5 or 6 years ago. If we're going to sit here and say, yeah, we'll sign Aguero, we'll sign Bale, we'll sign Coutinho, we may as well say, go out and sign Ronaldinho, let's go out and sign Inzaghi, let's go out and sign Kaka, let's go out and sign Andrea Pirlo. Because it's, the only difference is those players have retired now. They're still technically good players, but they've retired. And my point is that as much as Philippe Coutinho would improve Everton technically, because when he's on that field, he's got that quality, he's got that ability to change a game like James Rodriguez has. The reality of the situation is, we've got James Rodriguez and he's very, very good. And when he's on this pitch, he makes an impact. He changes games. He scores goals. He assists. He's absolutely brilliant. But he's also spent a large part of this season out injured, which has frustrated a lot of Evertonians. Everton need to be looking at more Ben Godfrey style players than we do James Rodriguez style players. And by that I mean more 22, 23-year-olds, 21, 22-year-olds with a fire, with a hunger in their heart, with a passion, with a point to prove, with their career ahead of them. Players that we're not only buying for the now, but we're buying for 2, 3, 4 years in the future. With players like Philippe Coutinho, Sergio Aguero, Gareth Bale, we're not buying them for what they're going to be in the future. We're buying them for what they are now. And whilst they're technically good footballers and would come in and improve this team from a technical standpoint, the majority of them, aka Coutinho, Bale, Aguero, would play 5 games in the season and spend the rest of the season out injured, or the rest of the season not fit enough to play. So we'll be in the same situation as that we're currently in with James, and we're saying that, yes, when he's on the pitch, he's absolutely brilliant and he changes games, but for the 10, 15, 20 games he's not on the pitch, we're absolutely shite and we're losing games of football. So these aren't the types of players that Everton should be looking at in the summer. And if Everton go into next summer, put it this way, I'm being completely and utterly honest with everybody, and we will get in the live comments in a moment. By the way, big thanks to everybody for joining us. If you just joined us and you're wondering what's going on with the green screen, we're having a little bit of a pixelating issue at the moment, and I don't want to lash it up pixelating because I don't want it to look unprofessional, so I'll just leave it as a green screen for now. But if you are enjoying, please do hit that like button, share the stream on social media. If you could subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Like I said, Everton really, really need to get this summer right. Really need to get this summer right. This is a massive summer. Not just for Carlo Ancelotti, by the way, because Carlo Ancelotti's gotten away with a lot this season, a lot, because he's Carlo Ancelotti. He's made some shocking decisions with team news. He's made some shocking decisions with substitutions, and he's gotten away with it because of who he is. And he's also gotten away with it because the players he brought in this season, i.e. your Haaland, your James, your Doucouré, they've all had quite significant injuries throughout the entirety of the season. So Doucouré's now out and has been out for the last 5, 6, 7 weeks. Alan spent 2 or 3 months out. Obviously, James has been out for months on end here and there with the odd performance. So I think Carlo's gotten away with it because, yeah, he didn't make a bad signing in the summer, put it that way. Not one player we brought in last summer has been poor or, hasn't been worth their money or their wage or whatever you want to say. James has come in and had an impact when he's been there, but he's had injury issues. Alan has come in and played well when he's played, but he's had injury issues. Doucouré's come in and been absolutely vital to this Everton team with his energy, but he's had injury issues. This summer is massive for Everton Football Club. I don't think we'll finish in Europe this season. I don't. That's just purely my opinion. I do not see Everton finishing in Europe this season. I really, really don't. So that automatically means, and it does, that automatically means that next season is a must for finishing in Europe. We absolutely have to finish in Europe next season now. There's no ifs, ands, buts. There's nothing. We have to finish in Europe next season. So Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands absolutely have to get this summer transfer window right. Without a shadow of a doubt. Marcel Brands, 3 years into his Everton career, or his Everton, contract, if you like, just signed a new contract for another 3 years. He is bang in the middle of his Everton career at the moment, Marcel Brands. Sorry. He absolutely has to get this summer right. Absolutely has to get this summer right. And if Everton go into next season and we have signed Gareth Bale, Sergio Aguero and Philippe Coutinho, I won't be happy. I'm just being completely and utterly honest with you all. I will not be happy. Because these are players that we need. Are they technically good footballers? Yes. Whilst they're on the pitch, will they improve Everton? Yes. But they'll spend the majority of the time at Everton, or the majority of next season, on the injury bed and earning 120, 150 grand a week. We also have to talk about hunger and fire and bringing in the right type of player. We've spoken this season about who's been Everton's player of the season and who's been Everton's best signing and most, most impressive player. For me, it's been Ben Godfrey. Ben Godfrey come in the summer, £20 million. And yes, James has been very good and creative. And yes, Doucouré brings the energy in the midfield. And yes, Alan's that sort of pit bull we needed in the middle of the park. But Ben Godfrey has ultimately come into Everton Football Club this season. I'm going to try and fix this, actually. And he's been absolutely unbelievable. He's been absolutely fantastic. And not just because he's come in and he's, a centre-half and we needed a centre-half, etc. But because ultimately he's come in and he's shown his versatility. He's shown his ability to play in multiple different positions. He's shown that he's big, he's physical, he's strong, he's good on the ball. Could he improve? Absolutely, yes. But he showed that he's physical, he's strong, he's good on the ball, he works hard, he always wants to put a tackle in, and he's got that fire in his belly. He's got that want to win. He's got that want to impress, that want to, be the best player he can possibly be. And that's so vital for players coming into Everton Football Club. So vital for players coming into Everton Football Club. We need more of these players that want to be the best player in the world, that want to go on and play in the Champions League. Not players that have already been there, already played in the Champions League, of whom are sort of thinking, yeah, okay, I've been there and done that, so I'll go to Everton, but I'm probably going to go there, not really be that interested in what's going on, and a couple of $100,000 a week and just sort of sit off, really. You look at Sergio Aguero, for example, and I've seen a lot of Evertonians saying, yeah, well, you'd be silly to not want Sergio Aguero when you at Everton. He's one of the best strikers the Premier League's ever seen. He's been brilliant for the last decade at Manchester City. Well, no, we wouldn't be silly to want Sergio Aguero at Everton. I don't want Sergio Aguero at Everton. Sergio Aguero has already announced that he's leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. Now, let's not get it twisted. Sergio Aguero is one of the best strikers the Premier League has ever and will ever see. He has been absolutely unbelievable for Manchester City. Unbelievable. That lad is a fantastic footballer, a fantastic goal scorer, and an unbelievable striker. Sergio Aguero said, I think a year or two into his Manchester City career, that he wouldn't leave Manchester City until he's won the Champions League. Now, he's won everything at Manchester City and he's in a Champions League final. And let's be honest, he's more than likely going to go on and win that Champions League, because I don't see Chelsea or Real Madrid competing with Manchester City. I really don't. So Sergio Aguero leaves Manchester City this summer in his 30s, I believe. Let me just get up exactly the age that he is, because I think it's important for this point. Sergio Aguero leaves Manchester City this summer, 32 years of age, having won everything he can win with Manchester City, and probably just winning the Champions League after saying that that's what he wants to win, and he'll leave once he's won that. What fire is Sergio Aguero going to have in his belly that we as Evertonians think he can come in and he'd be a great signing for Everton at 150, 200 grand a week with probably a £20 million signing on fee? Where's his fire to warrant that amount of money spent on him? He's not going to have the fire to come in and take Everton to a Champions League challenging side, or take Everton into challenging in the Premier League for Bramley-Moore. He might come in and say all of that crap in his interview. Yeah, I want to be the player that makes Everton the best the Champions League challenger. I want to be the player that comes in and takes Everton to the Premier League title. But he's not going to have that hunger, because he's leaving a club that he's been at for over a decade, that plays their football 40 minutes up the road and has won everything there. Sergio Aguero isn't going to come to Everton at this stage in his career and go, right, I want to be a part of Everton's rebuild now. He's going to want to go to a club where he can probably get paid a shitload of money, sit off, play 10 or 15 games a season, score 10 goals a season, and, be lauded as a hero, i.e. maybe somewhere back in Argentina, somewhere in Italy, an easier league, somewhere like that. Not Everton. And Everton need to stop. And by the way, I don't believe any of these rumours. I don't believe Everton Football Club want Sergio Aguero. I don't believe Everton Football Club want Philippe Coutinho. And I don't believe Everton Football Club want Gareth Bale. And that's absolutely right. But if Marcel Brands or Carlo Ancelotti or anybody at Everton is watching this and they're genuinely considering going after any of those three players, do me a favour and give your head a little bit of a wobble here. Because we've all established this season that the issue with Everton Football Club is the fact that we've got no energy, we've got no pace, we've got no intensity, and we haven't got enough players with their fire in their belly to want to impress. One thing that Ben Godfrey's done this season since he's come in is he's not only impressed because he's young and he's athletic and he's fast and he likes to tackle, but he's also impressed because he's got that fire in his belly. You've seen him after the Merseyside derby, screaming, shouting. You could see the emotion shredding out of him. Now, you would expect that from somebody like Seamus Coleman, who's been at Everton for a decade and never won a derby at Anfield, only won one derby since he's been here, I think. You'd expect that from somebody like a Duncan Ferguson, who's got strong roots and strong history with the football club. You wouldn't really expect that from a young lad who's coming from Norwich City 6 months ago and had no affiliation with Everton Football Club prior to signing his professional contract. But that's what having that hunger, that's what having that fire in your belly brings. It brings that want to win every game. It brings that want to be the best. Ben Godfrey was the perfect signing this summer for Everton Football Club. Forget James, who's been brilliant and been great, yeah. Forget Decore, who's come in with the energy and being boss. Forget Alan. Ben Godfrey was the perfect signing for Everton Football Club this summer. A young, physical, big, athletic centre-half who's got a point to prove, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, wants to prove that he can be one of the best centre-halves in the country, and has got the fire and the passion to want to do that. Look at David Moyes' West Ham. David Moyes is going to take West Ham into a European competition next season. Whether it's the Europa League or the Champions League, that point's irrelevant. He's going to take West Ham into a European competition next summer without a shadow of a doubt. And that is unbelievable to say, considering where West Ham were 12, 18 months ago. Now, did David Moyes go out last summer and sign or want to sign Philippe Coutinho or Gareth Bale, or want to sign these players that have played in the Champions League and were dead good 4, 5, 6 years ago, but now really aren't really doing it, or are injured a lot, or spending a lot of the time injured, or not really getting in the team? No, he went out and he bought Souček, who I'd never heard of before. I'm not going to sit here and confess that I'd never heard of Souček before. He went out and signed him. He went out and signed Soufal, right back, who I watch every time West Ham play and think that lad is a really, really good right back. I'd never heard of him prior to David Moyes signing him for West Ham. He went out and signed Jesse Lingard in January, who everybody, including myself, when Everton were linked with him, sat and said, I don't want Jesse Lingard. No, he's crap. He can't do it. He's awful. He's overrated. He's more interested in this. He's more interested in that. David Moyes went out and signed him, and he's been signing of certainly the best, the most impactful signing in January. His goals, his assists, his pace, his ability. He went out, David Moyes, and signed players who have got a point to prove, who have got a bit of a chip on the shoulder, who are coming into West Ham, and David Moyes is going, right, we've got a challenge on for Europe here. Prove yourselves. Prove that you can be a player playing in the Champions League. And that's where Everton should be looking in the market, for players that have got a lot of quality, not just players that want to prove themselves but are dead shit. Players that have got a lot of quality, a lot of potential, a lot of ability, but also have got that chip on the shoulder that, yeah, I want to show everybody I'm good enough to play in Europe. I want to show everybody I'm good enough to beat the big teams. I've got that fire in the belly. Not the players that have already had that fire 5 or 6 years ago, won everything they've needed to win, and are now going, right, I'm this big profile, I'm Philippe Coutinho, or I'm Sergio Aguero, who wants me because of my name. No, that's not what Everton should be looking at, or who Everton should be looking at in the summer. Absolutely not. Those players, again, it's okay having one or two of those players. It's okay having James Rodriguez in your team, because we have accepted that James Rodriguez will spend the majority of a Premier League season out injured because he'll have injury issues, he'll have fitness issues. We've accepted that. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share the stream as well on social media. Try and get as many people involved as we possibly can. Really, really do appreciate it. We're going to talk about Ivan Toney as well. We're also going to talk a little bit more in depth about the transfer rumours themselves because, yeah, I don't believe them at all anyway. But I just thought I'd go on a little bit of a rant. Yeah, we've all accepted the injuries that James is going to have. We've all accepted that James will spend a lot of his time this season, injured or struggling for fitness, etc., etc. We get that. And that's fine. It's fine bringing in a Alan. It's fine bringing in a James Rodriguez because they're the types of players. They're the cherry on top of the cake, if you like. And Pep put this brilliantly yesterday. I was on Toffee TV yesterday, and Pep put it brilliantly. He said, Everton at the moment are being linked with all of these players that are your cherry, your sprinkles, your bubblegum sauce on the top of your ice cream, your little bit of powdered sugar over your donuts. We're trying to bring in all of these players that would just be the icing on the tip of the cake, when in reality, we haven't even got the fucking oven to bake the cake. So why are we trying to bring in all of these cherries and the sprinkles and the icing and the sauce that goes on the top of your cake when we haven't even gone out and bought the fucking oven to bake the cake, let alone got the foundations of the cake or, the structure of the cake? So all that we've got at the moment is a lot of these cherries in a pan, and we're thinking, well, what do we do with them? These players, technically, are good players. Philippe Coutinho is a good player. Sergio Aguero is a good player. Gareth Bale is a good player. They're not what we need at Everton Football Club. We need, like I said, have we not all established this season that the thing that Everton are lacking so much is the fact that... the thing that Everton are lacking so much is the fact that we've got no athletes in this team. Nobody can run. Nobody can get about. Nobody can move. Nobody can, other than Abdoulaye Doucouré, who obviously is out injured at the moment. We have no athletes, and I'm not criticising James for not being an athlete because that's not what he is. We knew that he wasn't that when we brought him in, and I love James, and I want James to stay for years and years and years to come because I think that when we get these foundations in place, when we bring in these young athletic runners with a fire in their heart, with a want to win, with a chip on their shoulder, James will be absolutely world class because he'll have runners. Hopefully going into next season, we'll be sitting here and you'll have Max Aarons or another fast right back belting it down the right hand side. You'll have a winger down the right hand side. You'll have a central midfielder who's got loads of pace and energy running in around him, and James will have option after option to ping a ball, and that's boss. I love James and I want him to stay. We've got James Rodriguez. He's brilliant. He's one of the best footballers on the planet at the moment, technically. We don't need Philippe Coutinho. We don't need Gareth Bale. We don't need Sergio Aguero. We need young, hungry players to help benefit James Rodriguez so that when he's on that pitch, he's not looking round going, fucking hell, I've got to pass to Andre Gomez here, who's got about as much movement as your bowels after you've had an Imodium. Or I've got to pass to, Alex Iwobi here, who's basically staring in the stands trying to count how many seats there is. He's looking and thinking, fucking hell, I've got Max Aarons on the overlap. I've got a pacey winger. I don't know, a Leon Bailey making a run in there. I've got Don making a run behind. I've got another central midfielder with loads of energy getting in behind and moving the space. He'll have options. And we've got James, and James is the cherry on top. Now we need to quickly build the rest of the cake so that James can benefit massively. Because he's been brilliant this season, James Rodriguez. He's been absolutely exceptional. But let's be honest, for the majority of the season, he's been working with players that aren't really helping him an awful lot. So yeah, we will talk more about them in a second. More about those players and why we need to bring in young, athletic players that have got, like I said, a point to prove, have got the future ahead of them, and they've got that bit of fire in their heart. Don't go and sign players that have already played in the Champions League. Listen, Everton, I had this conversation with Baz yesterday on the way on. We will get in the comments in a moment. By the way, massive thanks to everybody in the comments. Loads of people commenting. Really, really do appreciate it. If you are enjoying, please do hit that like button. Really, really does mean a massive amount to me. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, share the stream. If you've just joined the stream, apologies for the green screen. I'm having a little bit of issues with the pixelating and stuff, and I didn't want to put the green screen on and then half my face disappear like bloody Thanos halfway through the stream. So I thought we'd just turn it off, and it looks a bit silly, looks a bit unprofessional. So I'll have to apologise about that. But we'll have to roll with it. like I said, we will get in the live comments. I forgot what I was going to say then. Anyway, let's get in the live comments and then we'll we'll go on to doing that. Manuel says Bale, nah. Tazu says breaking news. I'd like to call is available against West Ham. We've missed him last few games. It's not a surprise. We only have one win in the last 8 without him. Absolutely, we do. I didn't know he was available. I haven't seen that. Maybe that's from Everton's Twitter. No, I don't know. Who's tweeted that? Who's put that out, mate? I haven't seen it. Absolutely made up if it is true though. Manuel says Coutinho's boss. To be honest, I'm not doubting that Philippe Coutinho isn't a good footballer. By the way, Philippe Coutinho is a very good technical footballer. He is. And would he come in and improve Everton technically? Yes, of course he would, because having a player like that in this squad would improve Everton. Of course it would. It would. But he's not what we need. He isn't what we need at the moment. We don't need any more players that are A, injury prone, B, like I said, are coming not towards the end of their career, but are coming towards the latter stages of the career, and C, have got no fire in their belly. What I was going to say is, I was having a conversation with Baz on the way home yesterday, and we were talking about the fact that, Everton need to start looking at the fact that we can't go out and get, and he says Coutinho is just 28. He is just 28, you're right, but he's also in the last 12-18 months struggled massively with injuries, and he's also not really very energetic. He's not very physical. He's not, the biggest athlete, and I get that. And I get he's a fantastic player, and he is. And if Everton were a Philippe Coutinho away from being the champions of England, or that one little bit of saucy player, that one technically good player away from being the best team in the country, then yeah, go out and break the bank on Philippe Coutinho. But the reality of the situation is, before Everton have the opportunity, if we go out and sign Philippe Coutinho for £35 million, then we're probably not going to sign many other players in that transfer window. And Philippe Coutinho's probably going to be about 32 before we bring in the right players for him to really shine in this Everton team. And that's why I just don't think Everton should be looking at these players. But anyway, like I said, I was having a conversation with Baz, and we spoke about the fact that Everton needs to stray away from this sort of thought process and mentality of, we can't get the best players in the world. If Philippe Coutinho was still 22, 23 years old, not many injuries, and ripping it up in the Premier League or ripping it up in La Liga, let's not get it twisted. He wouldn't be linked with a move to Everton. There's a reason Philippe Coutinho, Gareth Bale and Sergio Aguero are being linked with moves to Everton Football Club, and it's not because they're the players that we all sort of want them and hope them to be anymore, because if they were those players, they wouldn't be getting linked with moves to Everton. If Philippe Coutinho was 23, 24, no injuries, getting about, creating chances and being this unbelievable footballer, he would not be linked with Everton Football Club. He wouldn't be coming to Everton. There's a reason he's being linked with Everton Football Club. I mean, Baz was saying Everton have established, and we know that we can't do what Manchester City do, i.e. go out and buy the best player in the world or the best players in the world and build our team like that. We can't do that because we're not an attraction with Everton Football Club. We're not in the Champions League. We haven't won a trophy for 25 years. We can't do that. So Everton need to stray away from buying the players that have played in the Champions League and now sort of maybe just looking for another payday. And I'm not saying that any of these three are, by the way, but I'm just saying the players that are riddled with injuries, not really got that fire in the belly because they've already been there at the Champions League levels. They're coming away from the best clubs in the world because they've deemed them not good enough. And then Everton are saying, right, we'll go and get them. It works with the odd couple of players. It's worked with James Rodriguez, and that's great. And James should be the exception. We should have one James Rodriguez in this team, not 6, 7, 8 James Rodriguez's in this team. Because we've all established this season that Everton have got technically good footballers. Alex Iwobi, technically with the ball at his feet, is a good footballer. Andre Gomez, technically, is a good footballer. Neither of them can fucking move. None of them can run. None of them can find space. None of them have got the intelligence to drop in and cover the space. We need players that are athletic, that are big, that are physical, that can move about the pitch, that can understand, right, I'm going to slot into here because Luca Dean's gone that way and I'm going to slot into the left back position to cover him. No, we can't just build a team around technically good players because it doesn't work. You need players that are athletic, that can get about the pitch. Look at Abdoulaye Doucouré. Some would say he's our most important player. He's not technically the best footballer in the world. His passing's been poor this season. Doesn't get many assists, doesn't get many goals. But his energy has made us all sit here and go, oh my God, he's so important to Everton because he brings energy. And he's the only player in this team that brings energy. Like I said, Everton need to be going after those players that have got the fight and the fire and the hunger to want to play in the Champions League, rather than those players that have already played in the Champions League and maybe are thinking, right, I'll drop down now. Because as much as we might think and believe that those types of players will want to come and turn Everton into Champions League challenges and you know, turn Everton into challenging for the league title, they won't. They'll probably want to come, play 5-6 times a season, get paid a shitload of money, and Everton for those 5 or 6 games will probably win and be a lot better than what we usually are. But for the rest of the season, it'll be the same shite as we're used to seeing week in, week out, as we are now. So I don't want Everton to go. If Everton can't buy the best of the best players in the world, which we can't, I don't want us to go and buy the players that were the best in the best 5, 6, 7 years ago and now are injured constantly and are wanting big money and haven't really got that fire in the belly. Sergio Aguero, let's not get it twisted, technically is a very, very good footballer, one of the best strikers in Premier League history, like I've just mentioned. He is leaving Manchester City, a club he's been at for over a decade, a club that he's won everything with, barring the Champions League, which he's probably likely to win this season. Do we really think he's going to come to Everton Football Club and go, yeah, I've got the fire in my heart now to turn this club into a Champions League winning team or a Premier League winning team? Has he? Fuck. Why would he? And I don't blame him for that, by the way. I'm not blaming Coutinho or Aguero or Bale for not having that fire in their heart. They don't need that fire in their heart. They don't owe Everton anything. I'm not blaming Aguero. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, Sergio Aguero, this, that and the other, because he hasn't got the fire in his heart to change Everton. He hasn't. Obviously he won't have. Why would he have? Why does he need to? He's won everything at Manchester City. He's had a fantastic career. He's had an illustrious career. He's been one of the best strikers in world football for the last decade. He doesn't need that fire in his heart to now come to Everton and try and rebuild Everton. He doesn't need that. So Everton need to look and think, yeah, he doesn't need that Sergio Aguero, so he probably hasn't got that fire, so we'll stay away from that. And we'll go after these physical players that can get about the pitch, that can move, that can run, that have got a little bit of pace about them, and also have got that little bit of a chip on the shoulder, if you like, is to think, yeah, you know, they want to prove that they can beat some of the best players in the world. They want to prove that they can be, you know, Champions League challenging players. Max Aarons is a fine example of that. Fine example. Max Aarons will be coming into Everton wanting to prove that he's good enough to play for not just a Premier League team, but a Premier League team that's got aspirations of challenging in the Champions League and challenging at the top end of the league. Max Aarons would be a great signing for Everton, a perfect signing for Everton. We need more Ben Godfreys, we need more Max Aaronses. James is excellent, he's brilliant, and I love him, and I'm not slagging him off, and I think he's been a great signing. But James should be the exception. James is the cherry on the icing on the cake. James Rodriguez will look absolutely unbelievable with 4, 5, 6, 7 runners around him. Technically good young players who can run, get about the pitch, got the fight in the heart, want to impress, want to perform week in, week out like Ben Godfrey does. He won't look any better than what he does now with 5, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30-year-olds around him who have already been at the top of their career and are sort of taking a step down and thinking, yeah, I'll go to Everton, whatever. Like I said, we will get back into talking about transfers. I want to talk about Ivan Toney as well, because I think he's one of those players that could come in with a little bit of fire in his heart, a little bit of passion, and potentially, you know, come into Everton Football Club and be that player we need him to be. Joshua says it'd be something like 120, 150 with a massive signing on fee. Yeah. Joshua says a backup on 250 grand a week. Joshua says I'd take Aguero as a backup. He can still score. He scored 3 against Sheffield. So yeah, financially, listen, these players, like I said, are good and could come in and could do a job for Everton Football Club. I've got no doubt about that. But financially, no, absolutely no. Steer away from these players purely for the finances of the game. We can't just go out and bring players in for 200 grand a week, 250 grand a week for them to play 3 times in a season. It's not feasible. Mama says let's get Koulibaly at least. Again, Koulibaly's he's the same, mate. I said it. I talked about Koulibaly a few months back when we were linked with him, and I said that if Everton were a centre back away from being the best team in the world, and I've just said this about Coutinho, if Everton were a centre back away from being the best team in world football, listen, let's just get it straight before anything. Koulibaly improves Everton Football Club. Koulibaly comes into Everton Football Club and improves us. He'd be our best centre-half, of course he would. He's a fantastic player. He really, really is. And if we were a centre-back away from being the best team in the world, then yeah, great, go out and buy Koulibaly, because he'd come in, he'd be our best centre-back, and he'd probably give us that step up to be Champions League winners, Premier League winners, brilliant. We're not that. We're not a centre-back away from being the best team in the world. And by the time we are maybe a centre-back from being the best team in the world, or the best team in Europe, Koulibaly will probably be 33, 34 years old. I may even be, at that stage where he's looking at retiring from football. So, he's not the right player for Everton to bring in now. He'd cost a lot of money, and we could spend that money on players that are coming in, like I said, with a point to prove, with a fire in the heart, and ultimately with good technical ability and a potential to become even better. We didn't sign Ben Godfrey for the Ben Godfrey he is today. We signed Ben Godfrey for the Ben Godfrey he might be in 3, 4, 5 years' time, which is amazing because he's already brilliant today. We won't be signing Max Aarons if we do in the summer for the Max Aarons that he is today. We'll be signing Max Aarons for the player he might be in 3, 4, 5 years' time. If we sign Koulibaly, we're signing him for the player he is today. And that's great if we're Koulibaly away from being the best team in the world. But we're not Koulibaly away from being the best team in the world. And by the time we are, he's going to probably be at an age where he'd be leaving anyway. So he'd be another player coming in on over 150 grand a week. He'll be getting paid for 3 years. And by the time we actually need that level of player, he'd probably be saying, well, I'm leaving now because, I'm at that age where I need to leave. So for me, again, I feel the same about Koulibaly. Steven says, Abraham, Hudson-Odoi and Aarons in the centre mid from Brighton. We'll go up the comments now. We will get through as many as we possibly can. Luke says, Hammers for me, Joshua. Manuel says, you want workhorses like Casemiro and Valverde. I want workhorses, but I want workhorses that, have got a fire in the belly, that maybe haven't played in the Champions League, that want to play in the Champions League, that are good. I'm not just saying, by the way, go out and buy just any player that runs around and has got a fire. I'm not just saying go out and go on the street and find Dave and say, do you want to play in the Champions League? And I'm go, yeah, I do. And bring him in. I don't just mean go and buy anyone. Obviously, they've got to be good footballers, technically good footballers, good on the ball, can pass a ball, strong, big, physical, get about the pitch, like Ben Godfrey is. I'm not just saying go buy any old shite as long as they want to play in the Champions League. We need to buy good technical footballers, but in the right stages of the career, and those three I've just mentioned aren't in the right stages of the career to come to Everton. Jedi says Tammy Abraham. Jedi says Grealish. I'd say Grealish. Tammy Abraham's a good player, but I think he cost a lot of money, to be honest with you, and I don't think Jack Grealish should come to Everton. Kaylee says Ivan Toney and Max Aarons for me. I'd love Ivan Toney, to be honest, and I'd love Max Aarons, but again, I don't know whether they'd come. It would be something like 120. That we were talking about with Aguero, yeah. Joshua says, hey, if you choose Coutinho, Bale or give Hammers a new contract, what would you choose? Give Hammers a new contract all day long. All day long. Let Hammers be the cherry on the cake. Like I said before, at the moment, we're looking at these players that are all the cherry, the ice and the bubblegum sauce, the sprinkles on top of the cake, and we haven't even got the fucking oven to bake the cake. So let Hammers be the cherry on top of the cake and go out this summer and maybe next summer and maybe January, however long it'll take, and go and build the oven, go and buy the oven, go and buy the cake mix, go and buy the sugar, go and buy the ice and go and buy the milk, go and buy the eggs, whatever you need to bake the cake. Go and build that strong, young, athletic, fast, quick team with a fire in their heart, with a fire in their belly, that want to impress, that want to improve. And then Hammers' quality can come in and he can work off a right back that gets down the wing constantly, Luca Dean doing the same down the left, a winger that's constantly down the wing, a midfielder that's in behind and making runs for them. Let Hammers work off of those players. Tazu says, this summer transfer window is going to be the most important in our history. To be honest, mate, I don't disagree. Luke says, for me, Aarons, Bailey, in the middle, if one of our current centre-backs leave, a centre-mid like Rabiot and a backup striker like Adam Armstrong. Rabiot's a good player. He is a good player. Again, a question what his intention would be joining Everton Football Club, but look, he's a good player. Aarons I'd love, Bailey I'd love, Armstrong is a good player as well. I've watched him a couple of times. He's technically a very good footballer. C-Play says we need fast young players, and we need Dominic Calvert-Lewin to score one-on-ones. If that happens, we'll be very good challenging next season. Yeah, look, don't get me wrong, the players in this squad need to improve drastically, and Blue Boys Network has donated £2 to the live team. He says, love this, go on Cam. Thank you very much, really appreciate that, Mike, honestly means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Yeah, don't get me wrong, we need these players that are currently in the squad, the players that you'd probably say will still be here next season. Your Dominic Calvert-Lewin, your Richarlisons. We need those players to improve. Absolutely, we need them to improve. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that the current players at Everton need to become better. 100%, I agree. And maybe that's a talking point for another live stream. Maybe we'll sit down and talk about what those players need to improve on. If you're enjoying, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Only takes a second if you're new. Share the stream. Try and get as many people involved as possible. Liam says Basuma will be decent. Jedi says Grealish. Basuma would be unbelievable, mate. I'd love it if Basuma. Grealish again would be very good, but I don't know whether he'd come to Everton. Tazu says, we don't need to become a retirement home for the elderly. We need fast and energetic, powerful athletes. It's time for Marcel Brands to do his job. Unbelievable. Blue Boys Network, I agree with that, by the way. Blue Boys Network, again, Mike's donated another £5. He says, this is your best team by a mile. Fantastic content, very articulate, fantastic, good work. Cam, keep it up. Thank you very much, Mike. Honestly, that means a massive, massive amount to me. It really, really does. Like I said, thank you so much. Louis puts a good comment in at the bottom. We will go through all of the comments on the bottom. But he says, lad, look at the signings David Moyes made for us. He looks in the lower leagues and other leagues abroad. Outside the big leagues, he got players like Arteta, Baines, Coleman, Pienaar. Exactly. And he brought all of those players in for low money, on low wages, and built a team that was a constant team finishing in Europe. Let's not get it twisted. If Everton finished in Europe this season, it'd be great and we'd all be made up and it'd be bosh, yeah. But we wouldn't be a consistent European team, would we? Even if we finished in the Europa League at the end of this season, you wouldn't be able to say, right, Everton are a consistent European team, because European champion team, because we've finished in the Europa League this season. You'd say, great, Everton have finished in the Europa League this season, but that doesn't mean we're going to finish in it next season as well. David Moyes had Everton finishing in the European competitions every single year in, year out, without fail. That's where Everton need to be now. Everton need to be a consistent European finishing team year in, year out. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not go beyond our station here. We all want to win the league. We all want to win the Champions League. We all want to play in the Champions League. But let's just get in the Europa League 2 or 3 years on the bounce first before we start thinking about what's next. Because we can't even do that. We can't even get it 1 year on the bounce. If we got in it this season, great. But then let's go and get it in again next season. Let's get it in again the season after. Or the Champions League the season after. Let's progress. And again, like I said it before, look at the signings David Moyes has made for West Ham. And I'm not, by the way, saying I want David Moyes back at Everton, or I think Everton should have gone with David Moyes. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the recruitment David Moyes has done at West Ham is he's gone out, he's brought in players that, A, nobody's ever heard of in Soufal and Soucek, and a player in Jesse Lingard who everyone writ off and said he's not good enough and he doesn't want to play football and this, that and the other. And he's brought those players in. They've got a point to prove. They've got a fire in the belly. They've got a passion to want to impress, to want to improve, to want to prove people wrong. Certainly Jesse Lingard. And they've gone out and they've impressed, and they're currently sitting in a position where they're going to finish in a European position. Let's put it that way. Whether it's Champions League or not, they're going to finish in a European position next season, which is what Everton want to be, where West Ham are. So we have to recruit like West Ham. West Ham aren't going out and buying Coutinho or Bale or all of these players that 5, 6, 7 years ago were dead good, but now spend the most of the time out injured. We're going out and buying players that nobody's ever really heard of, but technically are very good and have got that fire in their heart to want to be the best player in the country. As it says, Gomez and Delphau presume it in. Jason says, thought he was getting on. He's been around forever. Lee says, new AFC song to James. If we'd have known you were coming, we'd have baked the cake, baked the cake, baked the cake. Yeah, like I said, James he is, and I'm perfectly fine. And I'm not, by the way, in what I'm saying here, I'm not slagging off James. I'm not slagging off Alan, and I'm not slagging off Decore. I'm not saying we shouldn't have signed those players. It's great to have those players. It's boss to have James in the attack, who's got the experience, who's got the ability, who's really, really good, technically unbelievable. It's great to have Alan in the midfield, who's got the experience, got the ability, and Decore, who's got the energy. That's great. We've got those 3 senior players now who are very good and have come in and had an impact on the team. Now go out and buy 8, 9, I'm not saying in one transfer window, by the way, go out and buy 8, 9 hungry younger players like Ben Godfrey with a fire in the heart, with a passion, that can run, that have got constant energy, that can constantly get up and down the pitch, that can keep up a level of energy for the entirety of the game, so that James, Alan and Decore can work with those players. James can have the runners left, right and centre, like I said. Alan's got players that can do the running for him, so he doesn't have to focus on that. Decore can have a rest every now and then because he's got players that can come in and fill that role. Don't go out and buy more James Rodriguez's, more Abdoulaye Doucouré. Do go out and buy more Abdoulaye Doucouré, by the way. Don't go out and buy more Alans, more James's, players that are technically very good, but haven't really got much energy. Because you can get away with having James and Alan in the team, because, like I said, they know their role. But you'll only get away with having them if you've got the players around them that can do the running that they don't do. And Coutinho isn't going to do that. Gareth Bale isn't going to do that. And Sergio Aguero certainly isn't going to do that. Luke says Coutinho's just not what we need. I agree. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying any of those three players are bad, by the way. Coutinho is technically a very, very good footballer. And you might think, well, you make no sense, Cam, because you're saying he's technically a very good footballer, but you're saying you don't want him. He is. He's technically a very, 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 very good footballer, but he's not what we need at the moment. He isn't. Ultimately, if we went out in this transfer window, think of it like this. If Everton went out in this transfer window and signed, I don't know, let me have a think. If Everton went out in this transfer window and signed, trying to think of an example. Kieran Tierney, for example. Kieran Tierney's a good footballer, a very, very good footballer. But we've got Luca Dean, who's the best left back in the country, in my opinion, one of the best left backs in the world. So we don't need Kieran Tierney. So why would we go out and sign him? I know it's a bit different with what I'm trying to say. Philippe Coutinho's a very good footballer. But we don't need him. We've got James Rodriguez, who's a better technical footballer than Philippe Coutinho. And is very similar in the fact that he's not going to do an awful lot of running. He probably will spend a lot of time out injured and we have to deal with that. We don't need Coutinho. Jason says Coutinho, Bale, Aguero would make us a retirement home. Jedi says, do we keep Moise Keane then? No, I don't think we will. I don't think we will. I think he'll leave in the summer. Eugene says, what would your dream signing in the summer be? My dream signing in the summer would be Yves Bissouma, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It really, really would. It'd be Yves Bissouma. I don't think we will sign him, but he'd be my dream signing. He really, really would. In fact, to be fair, it'd either be Yves Bissouma or Ismaila Sarr or Leon Bailey. Because I think we need another quick, energetic centre midfielder, and I think we need a winger desperately. We haven't got any wingers, and this is another issue that we spoke about yesterday when talking about the Villa game. Everton have got no wingers. We've got no wide players. Our wide players are Seamus Coleman and Luca Dean. We don't have any wingers. Alex Iwobi isn't a winger. He can't run. He doesn't move. He's not got the intelligence to fill in the space when it needs to be filled in. Richarlison doesn't see himself as a winger. Bernard never plays. We have no wingers in this squad whatsoever. No wingers. Richarlison's a centre forward. He sees himself as a centre forward and his attitude shows that he sees himself as a centre forward. We've got no wingers in this club. We need a winger desperately. Philip says, totally agree. Lucas says, yeah, we absolutely don't need Coutinho. Stephen says, young players, hungry, full of energy, don't want players coming for the last payday. You're spot on, mate. And again, we'll give Coutinho the benefit of the doubt, by the way. We'll give Aguero the benefit of the doubt. We'll give Gareth Bale the benefit of the doubt. Let's say these three players say, I want to come to Everton and it's not for the last payday. I want to come to Everton and give it 110% every week. Give it 150% and work hard and have the right attitude and have the right mentality. That still doesn't mean or guarantee that they're going to be fit for the entirety of the season, and it still doesn't mean that because they've said they want to give it 110%, because they've said that they want to try their hardest every week, it still doesn't mean that they've got the energy, the athleticism, the pace to be what Everton need at the moment. They've got the intelligence, of course, they have, because they're world-class footballers, and that's why they purely improve Everton, because not only are they better than what we've got now, but they're a lot more intelligent than what we have now. In terms of, like I said, we spoke yesterday about the situation against Villa where Luca Dean makes a ball-busting run down the left-hand side, Villa intercept the counter and they're in, because nobody sort of thinks, right, I'll move into that space that Luca Dean's left open now, because nobody thinks like that in this team. But even taking away their hunger, these players' hunger, or their, whether they want to come in for the last payday or not, it's all that's irrelevant anyway. That it's irrelevant because they still haven't got the energy or the athleticism or the pace that we need at this point in their career. 5-6 years ago, I'd be over the moon to be linked with these 3 players, but we're not 5-6 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Well, not 20 years ago because I was only 2, but 15, 10 years ago, I'd be absolutely over the moon to be linked with Didier Drogba, Andrei Shevchenko, Kaká, Ronaldinho. Oh, I'd be over the moon to be linked with those players. If Everton were linked with those players now, I'd go, most of them are retired. Or all of them are, I think all of them are retired. Again, I get that it's not the same because those, Coutinho and that are still playing football and they've still got quality, but it's sort of the same, isn't it? Stephen says young, we read that. Jason says Ivan Toney out by. We're going to talk about Ivan Toney in a second. Stephen also says, funny that Cam, we haven't got the fucking oven. You're right though, exactly. Liam says, Adams, Neto, Samore, Daka will be perfect for us. Tazu says, enjoyed your visit and chat with Ped and Baz and agree with everything you guys talk about. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Means a lot. If you haven't checked it out, I was on the final word with Baz yesterday. And we spoke about, obviously, the game, the Villa game, and me and Ped done a video as well. We done the live at 5. We talked about Marcel Brands. So go and check out all of those videos over on Toffee TV. Love going on Toffee TV. Absolutely love Ped and Baz. Going to be on there a lot more in the future as well. So a big thanks to those, to Ped and Baz for allowing me to come on. If you haven't checked out the videos, please do so. Blue Boys Networks donated another £2, Mike. Thank you very much. Honestly, you don't have to do this. Really appreciate it. He says, me and Cam to do a stream discussing this. Yeah, we can do one. Yeah, definitely we can do one. I've got a lot to say about the rumours that the players that Everton are being linked with. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. If you could share the stream as well on social media, try and get as many people. If you could climb up to 50 viewers again, that would be great. Be a really appreciate that. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe as well. Lee says, great speech, Cam, spots on. Cheers, Lee. Lucas says, beg to disagree here slightly. We do need pace and energy, but we also need players, better players, Godfrey quality wise. Well, again, yeah, I'm not saying Ben is technically the best footballer at the club, or the best footballer or the best player we signed in the summer, but the best thing about Ben Godfrey is he's very good, and he's going to become a lot better because he's young, he's got the right mentality, he's got the right attitude, he's got the right ambition. So we haven't signed Ben Godfrey purely for the Ben Godfrey he is today. We've signed Ben Godfrey for the player he might be 2, 3, 4 years time. Same reason as why we'll be signing Max Aarons. So, no, I agree. I do agree. But yeah, like I said, it's the potential that you sign with players like this, as well as their ability at the moment. Luke says Areola is a PSG player. I think he's talking about from Fulham. Yeah. Anguissa, I think he might be talking about the midfielder. Luke says, I saw that as well, Eugene. I don't really believe it. Eugene says, Iron Chesney move. Yeah, we need a goalkeeper, obviously, depending on what Robin Olsen does. If Robin Olsen stays, then we don't. If he goes, then we do, of course. Jason says, if Bale joins, it would be Wales, Golf, Everton. Yeah, exactly, mate. Philip says, no way I'd be happy paying Bale 200 grand a week. Yeah, absolutely. Loads of comments in the live comments. Really do appreciate it. Honestly, it means a massive amount to me. We'll try and get him. We'll try and get involved with as many of them as possible. Anyway, let's get into some of the other transfer rumours. Want to talk about Leon Bailey as well before we finish up. But ultimately, Philippe Coutinho, Sergio Aguero, Gareth Bale. Don't want Everton to sign them for the reasons I've just mentioned, and I don't think Everton will sign them either, to be honest with you. We've just spoke for 50 minutes on 3 players that I just think the rumours are utter nonsense. I really do. I think it's a nonsense to suggest that Everton want to sign Gareth Bale, certainly considering Gareth Bale and Carlo Ancelotti was said to not have the greatest relationship at Real Madrid. That's out there. I'm not bringing anything new to the table here. It's out there in the press that they didn't really get on very well at Real Madrid. I think it's nonsense to suggest that we'd be interested in Sergio Aguero, considering how much money he'd cost, and the fact that, like I said, that lad's going to have no hunger in his belly, and rightly so. He's won everything. He probably go on and win the Champions League with City this year. He's done everything he wants to do. And I just think that's, maybe his agent throwing Everton's name in the pot to, I don't know, get the price up for whoever's interested in him. And the Philippe Coutinho one, I think, is more realistic than the other two, but I can't see it happening. Put it this way, £35 million. Would anyone be happy signing a 28-year-old for £35 million when, like I said, his injury record speaks for itself, and he would be an unbelievable player with legs around him, but he's going to have no legs around him? I don't believe that either. So I'm putting the £35 million, sorry, not even 28, 35 million. I've just read the rumour again. So I'm putting the Coutinho rumour, the Aguero rumour, and the Gareth Bale rumour all in just complete and utter nonsense. It's not happening. It's not happening. And if it does happen, I'll be fuming. Absolutely fuming with Everton, to be honest. Absolutely fuming. I get they're good technical players. I get that they'd improve Everton technically. And I know this might sound silly me saying this, but we don't need them at the moment. They're not what we need. They're really, really not what we need. 2, 3, 4 years' time, if Coutinho's still knocking about and still technically a good footballer, and Everton have brought in 5, 6, 7 young, hungry players with that athleticism, with that pace, with that energy, then yeah, go and sign them to be the cherry on top, because we'll then have the cake in the oven. But if we haven't got the cake in the oven, then what's the point in bringing in the sprinkles? Because they're useless, aren't they? James has done fantastic this season when he's been on the pitch, but we need runners around James now to get the best out of him, and we will get the best out of him with runners around him. Like I said, it's simple. It's not rocket science. It's simple. We've all established this season that Everton are lacking energy, Everton are lacking intensity, Everton are lacking athleticism, Everton are lacking movement, Everton are lacking stability. All of these words you wouldn't describe any of those 3 players with at the moment. You would describe them with quality, with ability, with fantastic pasts, with unbelievable careers. Yeah, but that's not what we need at the moment. We need everything I've just previously mentioned. The next rumour is surrounding a very, very interesting player who I want to talk about. We will get into the live comments shortly again. But the next rumour is surrounding Brentford striker Ivan Toney. And this is actually according to The Athletic. So not only is this a transfer rumour that I would like to be true, and I would like to believe, but it's also coming from a quite a reputable source, whereas the previous 3 maybe aren't coming from 2 reputable sources. But this one is coming from The Athletic, and it states that Everton and Leicester City are both preparing a bid for Brentford striker Ivan Toney. He currently has 30 goals and 10 assists in 44 games for Brentford this season. That's 40 goal contributions in 44 games for Brentford. He's 25 years old. He's at a good stage in his career. He's not particularly young as per se, but he's probably in and around just about to hit the peak of his career. 26, maybe 27 years old, hitting that peak. He's a striker, of course. He's been brilliant for Brentford for a couple of years on the bounce now, and for me, he would be an absolutely brilliant signing for Everton Football Club. The big issue I have with Ivan Toney is he's a striker, and bear with me with this, I think he would probably cost around 30, 40, maybe even £50 million for a striker. And I don't particularly think a centre-forward is the biggest of our problems this summer. Would I like Everton to go out and sign a centre-forward? Absolutely. We need backup for Dom, and we need somebody that can give Dom a kick up the arse. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin will improve massively next season. I really do. I think he'll go away in the summer. He'll work on what he needs to work on. He'll improve his one-on-ones in front of goal. He'll improve his composure in front of goal, and he absolutely needs to do that because that's not good enough at the moment. But I still think we need a striker to come in and give Dom a little bit of a kick up the arse, give Dom a little bit of a rocket to improve himself. But, like I said, do I think we need to spend 40, 50 million pounds on a striker to do that when there's other areas in the pitch that need identifying, that need to be addressed urgently, i.e. right back, right wing, central midfielder? I think those 3 are more urgent than a centre forward. Obviously, Moise Keane, again, we don't know officially what's going to happen with him, but if I was to put money on it, and I'm not a betting man, but if I was a betting man, I'd bet that Moise Keane won't be in Everton playing in the summer. I'm not particularly confident he'll sign for PSG, but I just don't think he'll be in Everton playing in the summer. So, obviously we need to replace him. We need to bring somebody in that replaces him. Tom says, hasn't Ivan Toney scored about 15 pens through the season, so his stats without those isn't amazing. Yeah, he has. He scores penalties, he takes penalties, he scores penalties, and whether he take penalties and score them for Everton obviously is a different question. But he's still a goal scorer. He's still a player that would come in and score a lot of goals for Everton, and ultimately, we've just spoke then about Everton lacking athleticism, Everton lacking any real energy, any real intensity in this squad. We're also lacking goals. That's something that we maybe overlook. When Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't firing and obviously we know this season Richarlison hasn't really been firing, we are seriously in trouble. James Rodriguez, comes in and chips in with the odd goal, and that's great, and he is, and he's been, like I said, he's been very good this season, but for the majority of the time, when Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't firing, we are fucked. Massively fucked, because Richarlison's had a bad season this season. There's no hiding it, he's had a bad season, and nobody else barring James, maybe Gylfi every now and then, nobody else scores at all. So what Ivan Toney would do is he'd come in and he would bring goals to this Everton team, which is obviously massively important. He's also come in and provide a bit of competition for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Is that enough to warrant 40-50 million pounds on him, or 30-40 million pounds? There's no price stated on the article, but let's be realistic. Brentford are a team that may come up to the Premier League next season. I think they're in the playoffs in the Championship, so may well be coming into the Premier League, and we'll want to keep a hold of their best players. We'll want to keep a hold of Ivan Toney. There's also a big risk that Ivan Toney's never played in the Premier League before. That step up from Championship to Premier League football is massive, absolutely massive. We seen on Saturday night Ollie Watkins, who took the step up, in the summer, has managed to do it and done it well. Performed really well against Everton at the weekend. Scored, a good goal. I know it was a mistake by Mason Holgate, but he had to actively go and force Mason into making that mistake. So there's risks surrounding Ivan Toney. One of them being the fact that he cost a lot of money, and he's coming into an area which, yes, we do need to improve, and yes, we do need to bring backup in, but maybe not for 50-60 million pounds or 40-50 million pounds. I'm just plucking numbers out the air, by the way. Brentford might say they want 15 million for him, and in that case, go out and buy him. But given his stats, given his importance to Brentford, given the fact that they may come up to the Premier League next season, I'm just sort of manifesting a figure that I think they would want. And obviously the fact that he hasn't played in the Premier League, the fact that Leicester are interested in him makes me want him a little bit more, because Leicester City's recruitment over the last 5-6 years has just been absolutely unbelievable. I wish Everton were like Leicester, to be honest. I wish Everton's recruitment was like Leicester. Leicester City don't hide the fact that they bring players in, they make players brilliant, and then they sell them on. They've done it with Mahrez, they've done it with Kante, they've done it with Maguire. They've done it with a number of players over the last 4 or 5 years or so. And whilst people might say, wait, they're a selling club, they're a stepping stone club, Leicester are third in the Premier League at the moment. Could finish second in the Premier League. Gonna finish in the Champions League places next season. So let me ask everyone this question: would you take Everton being seen as a stepping stone club if it meant that we brought in the right players, and those players, even though they might leave us in 2-3 years' time, they get us into the Champions League and we're playing Champions League football? Would you have taken Everton selling one of our best players last summer for this season to be in the Champions League? I would. That's what Leicester did. Sold Maguire in the summer. Now they're in the Champions League. And will finish in the Champions League. They're also in an FA Cup final, by the way. Let's not discount that. They're also in an FA Cup final with a big chance to win that. So, again, it's one of them, isn't it? And like I said, Leicester are interested in him. I think he's a very, very, very good player to do. I know he scored a lot of penalties this season, which sort of bump his stats up a little bit. But ultimately, look, again, we sit here and we can say, hasn't Ivan Toney scored 10 or 15 penalties this season, which is a very, very warrant point, by the way, mate, and I completely agree with what you're saying there. I really, really do. But the reality of the situation is, if you look at the top goal scorers of the Premier League seasons, over the last however many years, Mohamed Salah, when he's won it, has probably scored 9, 10, 15 penalties for Liverpool. Whoever else has won it, Aubameyang, I think, takes penalties for Arsenal. So I get the point where you're coming from. I get the fact that his stats don't look that amazing when you take away his penalties, but if he's going to come in and score penalties, Harry Kane takes penalties for Tottenham. Give him the penalties. I know Gylfi's very good at penalties, and I get that, but just give him the penalties and allow him to do that. Allow him to take them. Allow him to score an extra 10, 15 goals. And I know Everton don't get 10, 15 penalties, and I get that. So I understand where you're coming from, Tom. But ultimately, when you look at when Salah is picking up that golden boot at the end of the year, he scored 15 penalties in a season. So his stats don't actually look that impressive when you take away the penalties. This is how impressive Dominic Calvert-Lewin's been this season, by the way. 20 goals for the season for Everton Football Club. And he hasn't taken a single penalty this season. That's how impressive Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been. So maybe when we talk about Dom, we have to take a step back a little bit and go, actually, Dom's had a much better season than we actually think. Because although he's not top goal scorer, and he's probably not going to finish top goal scorer, I think I'm right in saying he's got the most goals in the Premier League for non-sort of set pieces, most open play goals in the Premier League. So he's top goal scorer when you take away penalties. And I get that at the end of the season, we can all say, well, that doesn't matter, does it? Because he's not top goal scorer because he doesn't take penalties, so he hasn't won the award. Well, that's fine. But we also have to sort of apply that logic for Ivan Toney, don't we? We can't say on one hand that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not good enough because he doesn't score enough goals. And on the other hand, say, well, Ivan Toney's not good enough because 10 or 15 of his goals have been penalties. Because that would automatically mean that if we're going off of that, then most of Mo Salah's recent seasons haven't been that great because he scores 10 penalties, 15 penalties a season. Even the seasons in which they've won Champions League, the league, whatever. Aguero in the past, Aubameyang, Bruno Fernandes. Is Bruno Fernandes that good? Because yeah, he scores a lot of goals, but most of them are penalties. Or is he that great? So I get where you're coming from, Tom, I do, but I think, like I said, if he's scoring 10 or 15 penalties a season, yeah, Everton mightn't get those penalties, but it still goes at the end of the day. And like teams at the top of the Premier League get 10 or 15 penalties and their striker scored them and they get the golden boot and they're lauded to be the best striker ever. But they're doing the same as what Ivan Toney's doing. So, like I said, Leicester are interested in him, and I like that. Because, like I said, Leicester's recruitment has been very, very good over the last few years or so. Tom says Leicester have got it spot on. To be fair, they have. They've been excellent, absolutely excellent. And yes, they've sold Mahrez and Kante and, Maguire, etc., etc. But they've replaced those players with, they sold Riyad Mahrez, for example, boss. They brought in, and I know I'm not saying they brought in these players to replace the players they sold, but they sold Riyad Mahrez. They brought in James Maddison, who's been excellent. They brought through Harvey Barnes, who's one of the best young players in the country. Let's have it right. They sold Harry Maguire. They brought through Wesley Fofana, who's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think Wesley Fofana's a great centre-half. They sold N'Golo Kante. They brought in Ndidi and Tielemans, who have been two fantastic players for them. So if you can get the recruitment right, if you were to say to me, now Cam, would you take Everton selling 1-2 of our best players? Would you rather have Everton selling 1 or 2 of our best players and the recruitment being spot on, or Everton not selling those players and the recruitment being shite? Basically what you'd be asking is, would you rather Everton concede that we'd have to sell some of our best players, but also understand that we'll probably be challenging for the Champions League every year? Or don't sell any of our better players, but because of the recruitment shite, we're still going to be hovering around 9th, 10th, 11th in the Premier League table? I'd take the first, to be honest. As much as I don't want to sell the best players, and I don't think Everton will sell our best players, to be honest, because I just don't. I think Carlo Ancelotti wants to build a team around those. You look at Leicester, and it's hard to argue against anything Leicester have done recently. It really, really is. They've been exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. So yeah, like I said, I can see this one having a little bit of weight to it, purely because it's come from The Athletic, who are a very reputable source, as well as the fact that I'd like Everton to sign Ivan Toney. I can't lie. 40 goal contributions, 30 goals, 10 assists. Even taking away his, I don't know how many penalties he scored for certain, but let's say he scored 15 penalties this season. Taking away those, that's still 15 goals. It's more than Richarlison's got. It's only 5 less than Dom. Imagine what 15 more goals would do to this Everton team this season. We can't afford to be saying, no, we don't want that. 10 assists. And that'd be the most assists of an Everton player this season. So even taking away the penalties, he still would come into Everton and have a massive impact. And again, he cost a lot of money, and again, he's not playing in the Premier League, and that step up is massive, and I understand that. But for me, I want Everton to sign Ivan Toney. I do. 25 years old. Again, when he'd be coming into the Premier League, he'd have a point to prove. He'd want to show that he can play at this level. He'd want to show that he can play for the team that have got genuine ambitions of playing in Europe. So I want Everton to go out and sign Ivan Toney. I really, really do. Do I think we will? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know whether Marcel Brands would allocate that amount of budget for the centre forward. And to be honest with you, if you were to say to me, right, Cam, 2 options, Everton sign a brilliant young right back who's quick, athletic, fast, fire in his belly, as well as a a right winger who's the same, fast, quick, athletic, can beat a player, can get past the player, skillful, can score goals, good creative player, assists, gets involved in 5, 10, 15 goals a season, and a centre midfielder who comes in and does what Adelaide Corey does, brings that energy, can allow Alan to just focus on what he does. Or you sign Ivan Toney. I'd rather sign the right back, the right winger, and the centre mid, to be honest, because I think they're more of a necessity. But I would love Ivan Toney. I think he's a very, very good player. I think he's at a great age. And yeah, I think he'd be a great signing for Everton. Do I think we will? Like I said, I don't know. There's other areas in the pitch that take priority for me over centre forward, but I think he'd be great. He'd come in, he'd provide competition for Dom, and he'd bring goals and assists, and ultimately, like I said, Everton have got a lot of issues. One of them is that we haven't got enough athletic players. One of them is that we're too static. I don't think the players that we've got currently, or at least the majority of them, are intelligent enough to be Champions League challenging players. But another is the fact that we don't score enough goals. And when Dom isn't firing, when Dom isn't scoring, and when Richarlison has an off-season as he has this season, we struggle massively, as shown. So yeah, that's the Ivan Toney rumours. Let me know your thoughts on them in the comments. By the way, if you're watching as a YouTube video, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. We will get involved in the live comments again before we finish up. But yeah, Philippe Coutinho, according to TZ, cited by Mark at Everton, are planning to bid £35 million for Philippe Coutinho. My thoughts, just briefly, no, we don't need Philippe Coutinho. Is he a good player? Yes, but he's not what we need. Please don't bid £35 million for him. The next rumour is coming from the Daily Star, and it says that Everton have entered the race for Sergio Aguero. Everton can't match his wage. However, have told his representatives that they could cover any shortfall in wages with a significant signing on fee. Again, no. Very, very good player. Won all there is to win. Probably going to win a Champions League. Won't have any fire. Won't have any real passion to come to Everton Football Club. Will cost a lot of money. Will come in on a lot of wages. No. The next one is from El Chiringuito TV, and it says that Carlo Ancelotti wants to sign Gareth Bale at Everton this summer. I think this is complete and utter nonsense, to be honest with you. Don't think Carlo and Gareth Bale had the greatest relationship anyway when he was at Real Madrid together. And yeah, again, it isn't what Everton need. And the next one has come from The Athletic, and that is that Everton and Leicester City are both preparing a bid for Brentford striker Ivan Toney. I'd like that to happen, I would, but I sort of understand that there's other areas in the pitch that we need to address more urgently than centre forward. And yeah, right, we'll get in the live comments then before we finish up. Taylor says Edouard from Celtic could be another option too, cheaper than Ivan Toney. Yeah, I like Edouard. He's a good, he's a finisher. Again, it'd be a massive step up for him coming from let's be honest, a poor league. But I like him. Sergio says our players also lack brains. Look at Hargate against Villa. Wanted to put my foot through the television when he made that mistake. I've said it a number of times, mate. It comes a point where, as Evertonians, we need to look at this Everton team now and say, right, these players either aren't good enough or don't care. Now, I want to lean towards not good enough. Do I think there's an element of maybe a bit of, yeah, we're not that bothered? Do I think that this Everton team is better than what it's shown at the moment? Yes, I do. But I also think in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about playing in the Champions League, when we're talking about challenging for the Premier League title, these players aren't good enough. They're not intelligent enough. Look at our off-the-ball movements, for example. Alex Iwobi, very good footballer with the ball at his feet, technically, can beat a man, can use his quick feet, brilliant, yeah, can pass the ball the odd time. But off the ball, he's not intelligent enough. He doesn't move in the right areas. He doesn't think, right, I'm going to pick this up, I'm going to get it, I'm going to move here now, and I'm going to pick it back up, and then I'm going to pass it in, I'm going to move now. He doesn't do that. Andre Gomez, look, we've had the conversation numerous times about Andre Gomez. Don't know what he brings. Again, Sigurdsson, a question. I think Sigurdsson is intelligent enough. I just don't think he's got the physicality or the athleticism to do it anymore. We just don't have enough players that, like we seen the other day, like I said, with the Luca Dean situation. Luca Dean makes a ball busting run up the left because Everton are counter-attacking. Aston Villa cut out the counter-attack. Luca Dean's running forward and looking over his shoulder. Bertrand Traore's through on goal, and nobody at any point looked over to Luca Dean and went, right, he's making that ball busting run down the left now. Got no issue with that. And this isn't anything against Luca Dean, by the way. He should absolutely be doing that because he's our only wide option other than Seamus Coleman. No issue with Luca Dean making those runs. But nobody thought, right, okay, I'll sit in that left back position now while he's there to cover him, and I'll make sure we've got that solid back line. Nobody did it. So that when they counter-attacked, Bertrand Traore had space upon space upon space on that left-hand side. to run into, and he ends up getting a shot off in the end, and Jordan made a brilliant save. So I do think this team lacks intelligence, to be honest with you. Ewan says, did you see the Blackpool highlights against Doncaster? I haven't yet, but I know Ellis Sims scored 2 goals last night. Tom says Tammy Abraham or Toney might be similar price, but for me Abraham is too similar to DCL. Yeah, I'd probably rather have Toney if I had to pick, but Abraham has got the Premier League experience, to be fair. Austin says, love the cake analogy, working with an undercooked pancake at the moment. Yeah, definitely. Tom says, pressure would well and truly be on Ancelotti if fans have been a good decision. Listen, Carlo's got away with a lot this season because he's Carlo Ancelotti, and I don't want Carlo Ancelotti sacked, by the way, but I want Carlo Ancelotti backed. You know, again, I'm not one for social media movements or for hashtags, but back Ancelotti, not sack Ancelotti. There's no point in bringing Carlo Ancelotti into Everton and then going, right, we're not going to give you the money or the players that you want or the funds that you need to improve this squad. We just want you to wave a magic wand and make Andre Gomez an athlete. It's never going to fucking happen. We want you to wave a magic wand and make Alex Iwobi an unbelievable footballer. It's not going to happen. Back Carlo Ancelotti. If you're bringing him into the football club and we're talking about where we want to be and what we want to be in the future, then show that by backing Carlo Ancelotti and bringing in the players that he needs and wants to bring in. And then if next summer or next season we're sitting here and Carlo's being backed and he's brought in the players that he wanted to and they're not the right players, then we can have that conversation. Goodison Blues says, don't think those players would want to come. If they do, it would be for the wages, which of course we don't want. Yeah, I've got no issue with Coutinho, Bale or Aguero not wanting to come to Everton. In fact, when I read it, and when I read in the rumour, in the part of the rumour which said, you know, Aguero isn't really keen, do one then. I don't want you to come anyway. So stop going at these players that we don't need and not even wanting to come anyway. Mama says Bailey and Zaha or Muriel. Tazil says, for the record, I think we beat West Ham and Villa away just to make those home defeats all the more frustrating. Rafinha from Leeds will be my team's hand. Rafinha, again, I'd love him. I think he's a brilliant player. And I'm not, do you know what? I wouldn't disagree with you. I think we're more likely to beat Man City away, to be honest, than beat Sheffield United at home this season. That's how bad our home form is. Taylor says, Aarons, Baku, Bailey, Chukwueze, players we need to look at if we want to transform our right-hand side. Pro Team says Rafinha from Leeds. Tom says we need energy in the midfield, way too slow at the moment. Exactly, and none of those players I've just mentioned bring energy. Pro Team says Zaha for me. I don't want Zaha, I really don't. Shanna says cheers for the transfer updates, brother. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Roberto says Godfrey is not quality, he's hungry, and that's what we want. Well, again, yeah, look, I think Godfrey's a very good player, but you're right, he's not the best player in the world. Technically, he's not the best player, but he's been our player of the season because he's versatile and because he's hungry. How can that be when we've brought in technically 2 or 3 really good players, and we've already got apparently technically a squad of good players, but the one lad who is the most hungry, is the most physical, is the most athletic, is being our player of the season? That shows what we need, and we don't need Philippe Coutinho, Gareth Bale or Sergio Aguero. Taylor says people moan that James Rodriguez is never available, so what do you think of Aguero and Bale on 300k a week and constantly injured? Hungry young players needed for me this summer camp. I completely agree, Taylor. Really agree with you there, mate. I have to get back on the channel soon, maybe we can talk about transfers. Tazio says Bale, Aguero and Coutinho would have never come to Everton 5 years ago, so why should they now come to make them a final payday? It's a definite no for me. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Roberto says if Gomez makes a pass, it's a coin flip if it comes off. Yeah. Nick says those 3 won't be coming anyways. Get Aaron at right back, 2 fast wingers and Ivan Toney. I'd love that, mate. Where are we? Luke says Aguero and Bale have a long injury history. Don't know about Coutinho. He's had difficulty in the last 18 months, I believe, with injuries. And yeah. Tazio says, really enjoyed watching West Ham the other night. They were everything I want Everton to be. Fast, energetic, attacking football. Seems Moyes has let these players off the leash, unlike Carlo and Swib. And Nasser Swib Bellingham was only like 27 mil. Yeah, he was. Dortmund did the same. Dortmund do what Leicester do. Dortmund are a team that are within a Champions League quarter final. I've got players like Jude Bellingham. Who's the other one? Jadon Sancho. Erling Haaland. Their transfer policy is bring good players in and basically tell them, right, you're going to take us to this place here, aka a Champions League quarter-final, challenging for the Bundesliga, and then you can go and play for the best team in the world or whatever. Dortmund accept that they're a stepping stone club, but in accepting that, in the same way as that maybe Leicester City do, they're in a much, much better position than Everton Football Club are at the moment. Yeah, says something, doesn't it? Anyway, look, we're going to finish it up there then. If you have enjoyed this stream, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. A massive, massive thanks for everybody in the live comments. Really, really do appreciate all of your support. Sorry that we couldn't get through every comment. Really do apologise for that one. But a big, big thanks to everybody for getting involved. Massive thanks to Mike, the Blue Boys Network, for the donations as well. Really do appreciate that. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. We'll get involved with as many of them as we possibly can. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. We can still share it on social media, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff. Get as many people involved as we possibly can as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably sit down and talk about who, what Everton players need to stay at the football club and what those players need to do to improve. Because let's be honest, we can't sell everybody and buy a whole new team. There is players that will still be here and should still be here next season, but that doesn't mean that those players the final product and don't need to improve. You like to your Dom, Richarlisons, Ben Godfrey, Mason Holgate, probably Jordan Pickford. We need to talk about as much as they might be in next season, they still need to improve. Anyway, big thanks for watching. Eugene says, see you about the toffee. Cheers, Eugene. Enjoy your night, enjoy your day, enjoy your afternoon. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon talking more Everton. Don't forget to check out those videos on Toffee TV. Like I said, massive thanks to Baz, Ped and Ned, of course, for having me in the studio. Absolutely loved it. Hopefully be going back in tomorrow as well to talk more, but we'll wait and see about that one. Massive thank you to them. Massive thanks to everybody for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues. Cheers, lad. Cheers.